Welcome back.
Every so often I start to think about my job and video games. More specifically, I wonder if there's a game out there that's even a little bit related to my job. Now, I work asset protection at a Best Buy store, so my main task is to prevent theft. And of course, my little search led me straight to this, which is probably the most inappropriate game for an asset protection worker to play. Here is my review of Thief Simulator for the Nintendo Switch. Now, the story of this game is pretty simple. You were bailed out of jail by a powerful family, so you must now repay your debt by stealing from the local neighborhoods. And as far as the story is concerned, that's pretty much it. You do get some simple dialogue as you get missions throughout the game, and there is a bit more story in the ending, but even that ending doesn't add that much to the plot. When it comes to gameplay, Thief Simulator is a 3D sandbox game with a lot of stealth and theft elements. As you go through the game, you'll be navigating a 3D sandbox, breaking into homes and stealing all of the things. Now, first of all, it's worth noting that in June 2020, just a couple months ago, the Switch version was updated with new content and is now completely caught up with the PC version. Now, basic progression in this game is stealth-based. You're placed on a 3D sandbox and can enter all of the homes, being able to take and steal a bunch of stuff the people own, and your goal is to escape with that stuff before you get caught by the cops. Moving around the sandbox is kind of a mix of you running around with a bag that you can stuff your loot into, as well as being able to drive your getaway car near the houses. And while I'll gladly admit that the car and driving mechanics really don't work that well, the stealth and thieving elements do. When you're inside of the houses, you're not alone. The tenants and residents are there, so you've got to use a mix of stealth and using hiding spots like closets or beds to be able to sneak around them and not get caught, or just hide from the cops if you do get found and they get called in. And this is where the game really shines. There is a surprising amount of detail into all of the different things you can do when it comes to thieving. You've got a bunch of different lockpicks for the different kinds of doors. From the classic Bethesda, let's use a bobby pin and screwdriver to open this lock, to electric lockpicks that basically do the job for you. And then you've got other ways of just entering a house, like bashing in a window with a crowbar or using a glass knife, as well as being able to climb up vines and pipes to get over gates you can't get past otherwise, or access the second story of a building before the ground floor. And that's just entering a building. You need to have a little bit of strategy as well, as many houses have security cameras you have to label and go around, as well as learning tenant routines. The loot itself also has a surprising amount of detail here. You've got smaller items that you can fit into your bag, and then you've got larger loot like printers, paintings, and TVs that you actually have to carry out yourself that can only go in the back of your vehicle. Some of this larger, more expensive loot also does not respawn at some areas later in the game once you steal it. Basically saying, hey, you just stole an $800 TV from the Smith household. They're not just going to go out and buy another one the next day and put it back in the exact same spot. Unless, of course, your last name is Torres. It seems like they have infinite money to keep buying Mustangs over and over and over again. Now, when all is said and done, you've gone into a house, taken everything you want or at least can carry, and you've escaped without alerting the cops. You gain experience and can level up based on the loot that you stole and how good your stealth was, giving you skill points to access new abilities and be able to purchase new tools. You can then manage all of the stuff that you stole. Some things like jewelry or computers have to be hacked and disassembled before they can be sold. And that task has some detail to it as well. You can sell items to the nearby pawn shop for a basic fee, or you can check Black Bay on your computer, as some of the items will occasionally pop up there for more money. Your computer can also access a few other websites that will help you on your journey, allowing you to buy and increase your range of tools you can use as you thieve, take on missions in the neighborhood to steal or break certain things for free money, and spending money that you have on hints for the various households. Essentially, you having the game tell you where the important loot is in certain houses and giving you the routines for its residents. And that's the basic gameplay loop. It's very in-depth and detailed, sometimes a little too detailed. There have been moments where I've convinced myself the developers made Thief Simulator as well as Car Disassembly Simulator and just threw them together, especially when I'm breaking down an engine for parts and the game has me remove every spark plug and screw one by one. Now, as far as difficulty is concerned, the game progresses pretty well. You've got two basic neighborhoods you go through in the main story. The first neighborhood is very light on security, and there's always a time where everybody in any particular house is gone. And then you get to the second neighborhood, which has much tighter security. Many houses always have at least one person there, and some of them have full families that never leave. This tightened security situation, of course, raises the stealth difficulty quite a bit. You've got to have a lot of strategy and caution, especially if you go in through a window on a house that has shutters. If you go in late at night and the shutters close before you leave, you're kinda stuck there, having to find a hiding spot and waiting until morning to sneak out. And as all of this comes together, I should note that the game gets very repetitive and grindy towards the end. New tools that you need for the story missions are extremely expensive towards the end of the game, and it gets very grindy to be able to make the money to afford them. Speaking of time you're going to be spending in the game grinding, let's dive into content and length. The main story of Thief Simulator, not counting New Game Plus or the new area that it brings with it, should take you about 8 to 10 hours depending on how fast you learn the game. And with that out of the way, let's dive into presentation. Visually, the game looks alright, though it is a little jaggy compared to the other versions. Performance and glitches are where the real problems are. The frame rate drops into the 20s pretty often, and you do get occasional slowdown. And when it comes to glitches, there are a lot of little things that don't work correctly. For example, some drawers will open and not pull the items with them. They'll stay rendered in the same spot they were before, not allowing you to actually take them. Now, there are some fun and entertaining glitches in the game, like this happening to me for some reason when I left my vehicle, but there are far more negative glitches than entertaining ones. That's all I've got to say about performance, so now let's go into battery life. On the original model, Thief Simulator has a battery range of 2 hours and 52 minutes up to 3 hours and 55 minutes. On the Nintendo Switch Lite, it has a range of 3 hours and 13 minutes up to 4 hours and 39 minutes. And on the V2 or Redbox 2019 model, it has a range of 4 hours and 51 minutes up to 6 hours and 4 minutes. In conclusion, Thief Simulator lets you sneak and steal at home and on the go. Now, on the downside, the Switch version has some performance hiccups and the game gets really grindy and repetitive as you get close to the end of the story. But even with these faults, you really just can't ignore the impressive amount of detail this game put into the act of thieving, from learning resident patterns to the many ways of breaking and entering. Reviews to Go rates Thief Simulator for the Nintendo Switch a 6 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.